Hello y'all, it's Lewis with Bremen and Bassin Outdoor Adventures, and today we're at a lake that they're not draining the lake, but they're taking a lot of water out of it to supply water to a wildlife refuge south of here that's duck season coming in, and they are trying to pump up the water down there by taking water out of here. And the water is real low. You can see up there, that high bank up there is where it's usually at. That's usually where it's at. So it is down probably from up there. It's probably 30 foot down here to where the edge of the water is. So I tried doing a little fishing. Fish ain't biting. So I thought I would do a little treasure hunting and see if I can find some hooks, sinkers, lures, floaters, whatever that's been hung up and broke off in the rocks and the brush and stuff that wasn't visible until now. So far I found a hook. So far, that's all. There we go. There's a little jig right there. A little crappie jig. It's not too bad shape. You can always keep stuff like that. You never know when you might need something. Be out and use stuff, even if it's a little rusty or whatever. You can always use it. And don't hurt to pick up some free stuff once in a while. And I've lost my share of stuff out here, I know that much. But we're looking, just kind of scouring the rocks and looking, see what we can find. When we get done, we'll lay it all out and see what we got. And, hello there, boy, what you doing? What are you doing there, buddy? What are you doing? You big old boy. Big old boy right there. You want to help me find some lures? You probably know where they're all at. You probably live here. He looked like a lab Great Pyrenees cross or something. He was big old boy. He's tall as waist high on me. Come down here to say hello and walked on off. Okay, I'm not seeing anything right in here. Just looking for like flash of color or string. I see string, and know there'd be something attached to it probably somewhere down the line. A lot of sticks and driftwood and stuff like that. Out here, there's a dead minnow or a shad. Dead shad right there. There was a gizzard shad. This area right here is where we were catching crappie last spring, Colleen and I. On I think video I titled it Crappie and More Crappie, I think it was, because it didn't have a limit on size or how many you could keep in here, because they were so overstocked and they wanted them thinned out, and they encouraged you to take every one you caught. So we were taking quite a few home. It was anywhere from probably 7-8 inches and bigger. I mean, I know it's kind of small for crappie, but they needed thinned out because it was overpopulated bad in here. And the reason being is because for the last couple of years they had a 15-inch limit. You had to release anything under 15 inches, and they messed up because they overstocked. They had so many in here then they couldn't do nothing with them except let people catch them and take them home. All right, go around the dock here and get on the other side of it. All these docks are private property, so you can't be out on them. I've lost lures on them before. Hung them up and lost them. Walked through a spider web right then. Got it all in my hair. Hair looks enough like a spider web as it is, without adding to it. Alright. At my age, I'm just thankful I still got hair. I'm not seeing anything in here, but I've hung up in here myself. I don't know how many times be fishing from up there, casting down here and hang up at stuff in here. But that's one good thing about it being low like this. It gives you a perspective on what you're going to be dealing with when it comes back up. So far, there's not a whole lot of brush in here. Just a couple of logs. Little pieces of log in here. And I've hung up right up in here a few times and lost my hooks. Might be brim fishing. Can't hardly see here for the sun. The sun's shining right on me. Kind of blinded me. I should have been walking the other direction, I guess, instead of this way. So there's a big pile of rocks right there that I need to remember that they're there, because that will draw fish for spawning purposes this next spring. There's a big old clam right there. Big mussel shell. Alright, didn't see nothing there. We just keep on walking around. I've caught a lot of fish right here between this dock and this building. Back last year, caught a lot right here. There was a time or two that I hung up in these rocks along the edge of this, but I don't see no line or nothing there. I don't see nothing. There's a rubber worm. There's a rubber worm. Green, sparkly. There's some good sized bass in this lake too. There's some been out here, took out here 7-8 pounds. A buddy of mine's caught them out here 7 pounds. I don't know how many times. He does a lot of tournament fishing on this lake. There's a car tire. Almost every lake and stream around here will have at least 1 or 2 car tires in it. I think people put them in there for the fish to breed in and stuff. Which I imagine they would, because it's protection for them to get in that tire. There's a floater. It's busted. It's busted. I don't need it. There's a jig. There's another jig right there. Drop it in the bag. Cassette tape. Why would there be a cassette tape in the lake? Maybe evidence. There's some line. Nothing. What's on it? Probably nothing. Nope. These corners like this is where a lot of people lose a lot of stuff. Look at that turtle shell. That big old turtle shell. There's a skull off of it right there. That was a big old snapper right there. Big snapper. That thing could take your leg off if you let him. I was up here the other day and I got quite a few floaters from up in here. There's an old tackle box up in there. Let's see what's in it. Let's see what's in the tackle box. Anything in it? Yeah, it might be. That ain't no good. That ain't no good. There's a stringer that ain't no good, probably. Yeah. What else we got here? There's some fishing line. We'll put that in there. There's some fishing line. We'll get that fishing line out of there. Alright. So that's a little bit of stuff there. Alright, let's walk on around. And I stood right here though and caught a lot of fish. Me and Colleen stood right here and caught brim out there off from that dock last year. So that water was pretty deep out there, deeper than what I thought it was. See, the water is usually all the way up here. And it's all the way down. It's all the way down. I'm walking around here. This other side, them dogs like to bark at me every time I'm up here. Anytime I come around this end. Lost a lure on that dock there one time. One of my twitch baits on that dock right over there. I'm standing on this one and cast out and landed on them people's dock and I couldn't go get it. Broke off. But there's kind of muddy down there. That's kind of muddy down in there. Briars in there too. But this lake is way down. Way down. I've done a lot of fishing over in here. Never had a whole lot of luck on this side. Caught a couple of little tiny bass up here ahead of me up here once or twice. goes a crane. Goes a crane flying out across there. I'm not seeing nothing over here. I figured there'd be some hung in these bushes, but I don't see nothing. I need to make a trip down south of here where I fish a ditch down there all the time and get my lures back that I've lost along the banks of it that I couldn't get to in the summer. Not seeing anything down here. Be nice to find some good crankbaits or buzz baits or something like that. But I don't see any. Let's go ahead and walk on around, I guess. Just a little farther and then I'll go back. Oh, squirrel. There goes a squirrel. This old dock here is kind of shackly. I've been out on it fishing a time or two. There's a bottle. There's a catfish noodle up in there. Don't see any lures in these trees. Not seeing nothing anyway. I've lost a lure or two in here, but I don't see nothing. I don't see any. I'll walk on around. Goes that squirrel back across there. Some big old rocks right there. Big old rocks. You know, I like getting out just seeing stuff that I hadn't seen before, exploring a little bit. I mean, all these rocks out in here, I didn't know all these was here like that. Had no clue what was under that water. No clue what was under that water. Spent many a time out here fishing it and not knowing what was in there. You can see here how it's made here. It drops off real sudden off of them rocks. Yeah, that'd be a deep little spot right there to fish off of when that water's up. Be some bass laying off the edge of that. Catching fish coming down off of it. Crappie would be hanging out there. I don't see any lures or anything down in here though. You'd think you'd find a bunch on these rocks hanging on. Catfish bait bag. You would think you would see all kinds of lures hanging out up in here where people had lost them. I don't see anything. That kind of tells me that there don't a whole lot of people fish off of this bank right here. These rocks would be a good area to be fishing for crappie. Sure would. When that water's back up where it belongs, should be able to catch some out of there. All this right here looks good. So this spring, I may just hike around here. And there's a four-wheeler trail that goes all the way around here anyway. So I might just hike around here. There goes a crane. Hike around here this spring, fish off of this point right here on these rocks, all the way around this edge right here. Be some good crappie fishing right there when their spawning time comes. I hadn't found no lures or anything over here, so there's not a whole lot of activity going on here, I don't think, as far as fishing goes. There's some stumps out there to fish in, and so on down there. This may be where we need to be going fishing at later or earlier in the spring this next year, when the water's back up where it belongs, back up here to this bank. All this rock ledge, this rock here, and then you got all these stumps and stuff out in here. I guaranteed you could do some fishing out here. That's what's good about this water being down. I can see things I hadn't seen and see what's under the surface. There's stumps all the way around this whole side of this thing. The four-wheeler trail stops right here. It stops right here. So I have to go back up right here. There's somebody's property right there. So we'll just go back up right here. Back up to the trail. This spring we will come down here to the end of this trail. We'll come down here to the end of the trail and we'll fish this point right here. We'll fish off of it and we'll see what we can catch. All right, y'all, I'm gonna shut this down and get back over there to the truck, see what all we got in our little bag of goodies. Not a whole lot of anything in it, really, but we tried. All right, y'all, here's what we found. This is our little treasures that we found here. We got some Zebco 700 yards of Zebco 12-pound line that was brand new. The plastic on it was covering was still on it. I cut it off because it was all messed up, tarnished and all that. Same way with this one here. This is 12-pound. This is 12-pound mono trilene orange. A whole row of it. Found a pack of floaters. Found 2 or 3 more floaters here. And then got 3 jigs. 3 crappie jigs that we found. And a rubber worm. 1 hook. 1 hook. Found some catfish baits. Berkeley Gulp catfish baits. I think it's catfish bait. Yeah, catfish chunk blood's what it is. Found that. And these here is the Berkeley power baits. These are what are they called? Can't hardly see it. Pogie swim shad. Found a pack of those. Actually, what I found was a tackle box that had been submerged, and I got the stuff out of it. What I could salvage out of it. So I'm gonna put this package here, them goes in, is ripped open. And it's a brand new pack, but it's been in that water so long, it's split on the side right here. So I don't lose them, I'm gonna put them individually in this little old box here that had a frog in at one time, and then I can close it up. Hope they'll fit in there okay. Some of them are okay. This here's all right. A couple of them that the hooks are rusted on, but that's all right. Rusty hook will still work. But I'm just gonna drop these down in that. That'll be something we can catch some brim and crappie on this next spring. I'll flip that over and do it that way. There's 2 of them. There's, what is it, 5 of those. We get 5 of them. So it's not a bad haul. It's not a bad haul. People may think I'm kind of silly for doing this, but this stuff ain't cheap when you go buying it. It ain't cheap. Especially that line. And these power baits, they're not that cheap either. Anyway, there's what we got. Sometimes it's worth your time to do a little scouting, a little adventuring. That's why we call this Bremen and Bassin Outdoor Adventures. Because we did a little adventuring around the lake and seeing what it looks like when the water's low. Got kind of a perspective on where to fish, the cover and stuff to fish around that you can't see. When the water gets back up, we'll know where the crappie and brim will be spawning this next year. We're going to catch you some, make some videos. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching.